Now that the New Year's madness is over, it's time to work on your story for 2018. LegalZoom can help you make this the year you finally get serious about launching and running your own business. It can also help you rest a little easier knowing that your family's future is squared away with the right estate plan. As a matter of fact, LegalZoom has been helping people just like you take care of their dreams and responsibilities for more than 16 years. Now, LegalZoom is not a law firm, but they have the resources to keep you on the right path, including advice from their nationwide network of independent attorneys, all at your fingertips. Whether you want to take your business to the next level or take control of your family's future with an estate plan, LegalZoom plugs right into your life without billing you by the hour, because at LegalZoom, all pricing is given up front. Start writing your 2018 story with LegalZoom right now. Go to LegalZoom.com/Golic and get special savings. That's LegalZoom.com/Golic. LegalZoom, where life meets legal. LegalZoom.com/Golic.
Attention shoppers, clean up on aisle 14. Clean up on aisle 14. Someone dropped a jar of pickles. Kosher pickles.
Beatboxing at a big box store. Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
A red minivan has the lights on in the parking lot.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Geico.
Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN2. I get it. See, you have to look for the subtle messages Cliff sends with his music.
What message is he sending?
In Excess. Band from the 80s, so that's our generation. But you know where they're from? In Excess?
No.
Australia.
The
Australian Open going on. I don't think even Cliff put those together.
I don't think he put that together at all. I would not give him that much credit.
Did you go that far?
I did go that far. I do my research for you guys.
That's my guy right there.
I don't agree at all. I think before you said that, if you'd have asked Cliff, I don't think we'd have got that answer. I think he is absolutely making that up.
You're calling Cliff a liar.
Without question, I'm calling him a liar.
I'm Team Cliff.
I'm looking at him right through the glass, calling him a liar.
Yeah.
There's no shot.
All right. So I'm on Team Cliff. You are on Team Cliff not being true.
Yeah.
But we'll figure that one out. Either way, we're presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. And this hour, by the way, of Golic and Wingo is brought to you by La Quinta.com. La Quinta Inns and Suites. Book at LQ.com and win at business. Lots to get to.
Yeah, there is.
James Patterson is coming up, the author of a new book. He sold over 300 million books, so clearly he's good at what he does.
Yeah, and this is an interesting where this one is going to go that we'll chat about. We have Herm Edwards coming up in a little bit, and a little bit of news out of the Senior Bowl yesterday that the reports that Josh Allen, according to Mel Kiper Jr. in his first mock draft, is going number 1 to the Cleveland Browns, that Josh Allen, the quarterback out of Wyoming, struggled a bit on his first practice at the Senior Bowl. He even admitted missing some easy throws. Got a gun. There's no doubt about that. Just a tick under 6'5", 237. He's got a very strong arm, but missed some easy throws, and that's been the thing on him. The red flag is completion percentage of 56%, struggling against the bigger teams that they play, the Iowas, the Oregons of the world. So I that to me is a red flag. So we'll see how that progresses during the week. But as I said, as far as I'm concerned, all these players that are upcoming in this draft, 95 to 98% of your resume is done.
Yep.
Is done, and that's called your game film.
Yet amazingly, a lot of times that isn't how it plays out.
If I'm going to be influenced more than game film by a week at the Senior Bowl or running in shorts and a T-shirt at the Combine, then I'm sorry, I just don't buy it. I get you need measurables. Sure. That's the one thing Bill Poley, because Bill knows I'm not a big fan of it, but Bill swears by and Bill obviously has got a lot better resume than I do as far as building
executive
team.
of the year.
And I understand his point of measurables, and I get it, that there are a range of measurables. It's when you take what you're seeing in those measurables over what your eyes show you on film that I start to have an issue, and I think that happens at times a little too much.
Well, I think that's why a lot of times you'll see more busts in the first round than the second round, because in the first round, if it doesn't work out, you want to say to your guy, he had this, he had this,
he wowed me, yes.
But in the second round, I think people rely more on tape and like, this guy's a baller.
Right.
Let's take him.
Right.
There's less risk a lot of times.
You're right.
Second round.
Someone's going to take a chance on a guy you want him to take a chance on that may not have the measurables. Then, you're really on the hook where you're right. You can just say, well, look at his size. Look at he ran in the 40. Look how high he jumped. Yeah. You get lost in that sometimes.
It's weird how that is. And by the way, of all the measurables that have taken place at the Senior Bowl so far, the biggest one is that Baker Mayfield's height starts with a 6.
Yes, it does.
Because there were concerns,
Right.
is he a 5'11", is he really 6 feet tall? I think he was 6 feet and 3/8
Yeah,
inch.
yeah. So a little under 6'1". He was 216 pounds.
Yep.
And he got in there a little late to the he had some issues he had to deal with at home, and we hope everything is okay there with the family. Got in a little late, but practiced. And so that's the fun of this. I love forgetting the game.
Yep.
Love watching the practice and what goes on during the week.
And we'll have a report from the Senior Bowl coming up tomorrow, but let's start this hour with what's trending, and the trend continues to be bad for the Cavs despite LeBron James getting to 30,000 points faster than anyone. They lost again, and head coach Tyronn Lue says it's time to shake things up. I'm going to make a change, just a few days after he said he wouldn't make a change.
Yeah, what's interesting, we just had Timmy Legler in here, and he said, you know what? Doesn't matter about the person, it matters about the play. And right now, he said he just sees so almost the apathy of an effort out of this team, which really is somewhat tough to explain at times. But as he said there's a lot of guys on that team that do the same thing and they're not even using some of them. So you might as well try a trade to do something. But he said at this point, what are you changing to? Because it's more about effort than the actual people that are on the court. But you know how it is when you're playing as bad as you are with the group that's on there, you're going to try and mix it up some. I think as a coach, you kind of owe it to your team to try that. But as I said weeks ago, at the end of the day, you know what they all got to do? They all got to look in the mirror. You know, what kind of effort am I giving on the court when everybody can sit there and notice that the effort level is down and not where it should be? Is that just where you are right now and know you'll turn it on in the playoffs? I have no idea. But the January swoon from the Cavs seems to be way more than it's been in the past.
And look, we had legs in here, as you said, and people have talked about the idea of George Hill, someone being that
Right.
they could make a trade for. He thought that would actually be a significant impact for them. So we'll see.
Especially on the defensive end, where they need it.
He plays both ends of the court, so we'll see if that's where they go if they make that big deal before the deadline. College basketball, Trae Young says he wants to manage his game better, and he leads Oklahoma to an upset of number 5 Kansas, and he real dialed back on his shot selection.
Yeah, he did. 4 shots in the first half, all inside three-point land. He took 9 for the game, as Trae said. He was 7 of 9 with that. You want to talk about an efficient 26 points. His first free throw attempt came at 15:26 mark of the second half against Kansas. Bottom line is he was more efficient, and his team won.
Yep.
Again, against a good team in Kansas, number 5 in the country. So he played efficiently, shot efficiently, and the team won. So that all adds up pretty well.
Look, the kid has gone from throwing up a ton. What I love about him, he's willing to be pushed to do things that he's not been really great at very easy. So that's what we love about him, and he continues to develop his game. And don't ever count Kobe Bryant out, apparently. He never gets snubbed, and that includes getting an Oscar nomination on Tuesday.
How about that for the 5-minute short it was, a 5-minute the film is Dear Basketball. It's a 5-minute film he worked with artist Glenn Keane, also composer John Williams. So good for him. I mean, are you kidding? What a resume anyway that Kobe Bryant has from the basketball side of it. And now, boy, if you were to add gets an Oscar nomination, add an Oscar to that, that's pretty sweet. So congrats to Kobe. But, you say congrats to him for a lot of things.
Well, as we say, Mamba out. Good job, Kobe. And you know who else doesn't get snubbed ever? It's my road dog.
No, he does not.
My roadie, who's now busy on Twitter, by the way, which he never was when he was here. But he's tweeting out there as the head coach of the Arizona State Sun Devils on their football squad. Forks up and delighted to be joined now. Look, for this purposes of this conversation, we're calling him a former Eagles defensive back. But to call Herm just a former Eagles defensive back is to do such a slight to who he is. All-around great guy, and my road dog, Herm Edwards, joins us now on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Get the feeling of being rewarded with gold status at Shell with the Fuel Rewards program. Download the Fuel Rewards app and join and start saving 5 cents a gallon today. Rody, how are you, my man?
What's up, man? It's good to hear from you guys. I watch you in the morning when I'm working out. I say, those are my road dogs up there. I said, my man Wingo and Golick and that ESPN crew. And obviously, we're right in the middle of recruiting, obviously, and that's been a lot of fun. But what's even better, fly, Eagles, fly.
How about
my Eagles?
Well, listen.
How about that, Golick? How about them Eagles, man?
I'll tell you what, and as usual, the focus on those Eagle fans as they're celebrating, riding the dune buggy up the Rocky Steps is it would be shocking anywhere else but Philadelphia. So, yeah, what a great moment for them. Just take us back to that moment Herm, before you played in the Super Bowl, of just winning the game, the AFC champion or the NFC Championship game? Just that moment when you knew you were in the Super Bowl.
It's almost like unbelievable in the fact that when you win that game, when you get into the playoffs, obviously you're always, thinking about, hey, we got to win a game. And when you win the championship game, as you're walking into the locker room, I'm walking with John Allo and with Roydell Young and some of the guys, and I'm going, we're going to the Super Bowl. It's kind of like we're actually going to play in the Super Bowl. There's one more game and it's the Super Bowl. But the noise in Veterans Stadium that day was as loud as I've ever been in a stadium. I mean, it was chilling. The fans, and then they brought the horses out, around the field, and watching the Dallas Cowboys walk into that locker room with their heads down, and just the excitement. The Philadelphia Eagle fans was something I'll never forget.
Well, that had to be a big part of it because they did beat their arch rival Dallas Cowboys to get to that Super Bowl 15, which unfortunately they lost to the Raiders 27-10. And Herm, you and I have talked about this before, as Herm Edwards is with us. Your preparation for that Super Bowl week was a little different than the Raiders that week. You were on a little different schedule under Dick Vermeil than the Raiders were that week, weren't you?
Yeah, we were actually we were working at it now, and I knew we might have been in a little bit of trouble when we went over there for picture day. And we had our shoulder pads on, taking these pictures, right? And the Raiders walk in, and they're like, they just got their jerseys on, and he goes, "What are you guys doing?" And we said, "Well, we're going to practice after this." And they looked at us, and I went, "Where are you guys going?" I said, "Oh, we're off for today," And I'm like, "This could be trouble." And when you sat in the, this is even better, Golick. When we get there, you get cars. They give the players like one car to share, and it's right across the street now. When you get there, they give you these cars, right, to go around. Well, we didn't get our cars until Friday, and the cars were available like Tuesday. So we never knew until Friday, and by then it was bed check. But what made it worse, we turn on the TV on Tuesday night, Wednesday night, and Thursday night. At 11 o'clock news, the Raiders are downtown on Bourbon Street, and we're in there looking at our playbooks. This ain't good, boys. This ain't good.
Dick Vermeil ran a tight ship as opposed to what
he did.
Tom Flores was doing with the Raiders.
But there's part of that, Herm, though, that I'm wondering. Dick Vermeil always ran a tight ship. So wouldn't that be the thing about it? Whatever you do, you just keep doing?
Yeah, but I think Coach learned a lesson. He said this his second go around, and I can remember us versus Tampa. Tampa versus the Rams in the championship game, and when they beat us. And he was the first guy I saw when I came across the field. He was the head coach for the Rams, and I can remember giving him a big hug and telling him this, "Hey, you win it for us, Coach." And he knew what I meant. Win it for the Eagles that had gone before, and obviously they did. And Dick's like a dad to me, but he did it a little bit different the second time around, I think, and obviously had a fantastic team with the Rams. But look, Dick Vermeil was the best coach I've ever had. There's no doubt about it. He was a great man, a great mentor to a lot of players. And, going to that Super Bowl meant a lot. And I've always tell Trey this. I said, the difference when you lose is that you are a participant. When you win, you're a world champion. And that's the difference.
And that's a very significant difference. As Herm Edwards is with us, the new head coach of Arizona State, obviously worked here for a lot of years, a head coach in the NFL, former Eagles defensive back when they went to Super Bowl 15. His point about Vermeil is interesting, though, because there was a point when Dick was in his second year with the Rams where the players had a revolt and said, you need to dial it back, man, because that was the time when they were still doing two-a-days, and they were hitting. They had to tell him, "Hey, man, Coach, you better dial it down or we're not going to make it to the season." So Dick absolutely did evolve, Herm.
Yeah, he did. And and you talk about just a great man. I still talk to Dick. There's no doubt about it. And so, he was really good with his players. His players wanted to play for him. He had a fantastic football team. There's no doubt about it. But I think, it's a different way to do things. He learned that. He came from the old school. He was an old school coach. And we needed that in Philadelphia when he arrived. So we can't say nothing but good things about Coach.
And we always talk, Herm, from a player's perspective. Once the ball's kicked off, you kind of play the game. You revert, how to play the game, you play the game. But there's 2 weeks of preparation here. Yeah. Is there an advantage to the Patriots, who were just through this last year, and these players have went through this preparation, when the Eagle players really haven't done this?
Yeah, they know how to handle it. They've been there before, and it's like anything else. You know, when you've done it before, you're more comfortable doing it. I think Philadelphia, the players, there's been a few that have gone to that, but you just, you don't sense it. And I think what will happen for them, like anybody, and I don't care what anybody says, guys will say, oh, it's just another game. It's not another game. It's really not. It's the biggest game you ever play as a professional football player. And what I realized, and I played in a lot of games, started a lot of games, but I walked into that stadium, I can remember the first series, Mike, I couldn't feel my legs.
Wow.
Because it's the Super Bowl. I mean, you walk in there and you go, man, this is the Super Bowl. I mean, this is it. And what's really shocking is this. There's the crowd is kind of muffled because there's no home field advantage for either team. Because, it's the corporate people that buy all the seats. So it's kind of like when the game is being played, it's not like a regular game in the sense of the emotion of the fan. It's kind of a funny feeling in that first quarter.
Yeah, you're not the only one to mention that to us. We've heard that a bunch of times as Herb Edwards is here with us. Herm, your Eagles team that went to Super Bowl 15 was kind of a scrappy underdog squad that the city kind of embraced. And it sort of feels like that's the same way with this current squad. Obviously, that changed with Carson Wentz going down because if he's there, the line on this game, the Vegas has said it would be a pick'em against the Patriots as opposed to being a 5.5 point spread. But this Eagles team has sort of embraced that underdog mentality, and it seems like the city has just fallen in love with these guys because they've sort of been like, hey man, it doesn't matter what happened to us, we're going to go out there and handle our business. Well,
yeah, and and I think the thing they embrace the most in Philadelphia, and Mike knows this, they love defense. This city wants a defensive team. And you can score a lot of points on offense, and they're okay with that. And Wentz is going to be a heck of a player, and Foles has done a fabulous job. But it's really the defense that has driven this team when you think about it. And the teams that have gone have been pretty good defensive teams, and they know that in Philadelphia. They want you to play defense, and they've got a stout defense. There's no doubt about that. And every week they seem to improve, and I think the concern going into the season was the back end. But the back end is playing much better now. They got a nice front. They got some excellent linebackers. Their offense is good. And Nick Foles has done a nice job. He really has. There's been a lot of pressure on him going into the playoff competition. He had a couple of those oops games, and everybody was wondering. But now they face the biggest test of all, and we know who that is. It's Captain America. And Captain America, you can say what you want, but he's playing against a different opponent. He's playing against Father Time and history. And right now, he's beating Father Time, guys.
Yes, he is.
He's in the boxing match with Father Time, and he just keeps hitting me with those lefts, man. They're staying away from me. I'm going to keep fighting this deal. It's a wonderful thing to watch. What this guy has accomplished.
So, what's Doug Peterson before you even get to the X's and O's of Eagles playing the Patriots? What's Doug Peterson's message to his team about who they're playing before the game plan even starts?
Well, it has nothing to do with him, and I think he's going to focus on his football team. And I think this first week, you let the guys, just ride the wave of we're going to the Super Bowl, and then that next week you got to get locked in. And here's what he can't do. And we did a little bit of this. You can almost over-prepare, okay? You start chasing ghosts after a while, and eventually you got to know why you're there. I mean, you won, for 15 games? I mean, you're a good football team. So don't lose sight of who you are. Don't give them so much credit that it's always about them. It's really about you and who you are. And I think if he does that, these guys they'll rally to that.
All right, Herm, again, talking from experience of playing in the Super Bowl, and obviously you were a head coach as well in the league as well as a player. Now you're the head coach at ASU. Let me ask you one about that. It's while you've been involved in football and working here and coaching the Under game, you haven't been a head coach in a while. So now you are again. What has been the biggest difference or reoccurrence from when you were a head coach last to now that maybe you didn't expect?
Well, I think where recruiting has gone, where Mike, this is almost like professional football when it comes to obviously recruiting kids and obviously evaluating these guys. And it's big. I mean, we're already on the 2019 guys. Okay. I mean, after the 7th of next month, we got 6 more guys to sign, and we're done. We're already working on the 2019 guys. And I basically came in here and really set up a pro model of how we're going to go about evaluating players. But the evaluation is the key here in college football. I mean, it's not like in pro football. In pro football, it's kind of interesting because when you win, you draft last. In college football, you recruit.
Right.
And you got to go after guys. And I mean, it's I tell you what now, you're not only recruiting the kid, sometimes you're trying to recruit the parent too. That's what's amazing. But I mean, you got to stay in contact with these kids. I'm calling kids all the time, making visits. I'm all over the place. And, you're asking an 18-year-old kid to come to your university, and a lot of these kids have no idea why they're going to go to the university. They don't know. I mean, they want to be recruited, They want to know how many people are coming to their house, how many head coaches are calling them. It's an amazing deal.
Well, listen, I know you don't have to tell yourself this, but just be careful now that you're on Twitter. You don't always have to press send, Herm. Okay, let's be clear about that.
Trey, it's always going to be a positive message. You know that, Road Dogg. And by the way, you guys got to come out here in March now. We starting spring ball about on the 15th. I want to see your faces out here.
That's a guarantee because you know what it's like here in March. I'll take Arizona. And by the way, come on. For the folks that say, when he said, I'm up watching you and it's 2 hours earlier in Arizona, you need to understand, Herm has a routine. Herm, what time of day are you up every morning?
Here at 4:30.
4:30.
I'm in the gym. So I'm the one that opens up the gym. I told the players no one will beat me in the gym. And they started laughing. They said, Coach, you're right. No one's here but you. I said, that's right.
4:30. Up. So he's watching us in the 6:30 hour on the East Coast because he's up at 4:30 getting in the gym.
Our TV is so big. You wait till you guys see this TV we got in our weight room. Oh, it's unbelievable. The first thing I did, it was never on SportsCenter. I said, hey, put it. First of all, I got to have it in the morning. I got to have it on. Mike and Wingo. I said, I got to see that. I said, put it on the Worldwide Leaders. That thing's on the Worldwide Leader every day.
Brother, I bet the accommodations in college programs are a little better than when you were in college, huh?
Oh, this is better than some pro teams.
Oh, Herm, listen, we miss you here a ton, but obviously we are thrilled for everything. We look forward to all your success at Arizona State, and we appreciate you jumping on with us this morning, brother.
See you, Herm.
Anytime, guys. I appreciate you guys. See you guys soon, huh?
You got it, Rhodey.
Come see me.
I got it, brother. I got you.
That, yeah.
That's my road dog, Herm Edwards.
We got to get out there.
We
check
do.
That out.
Look, man, he's a ball of energy at 63, and he inspires you. He does. Being around him.
He does. I want to be a fly on the wall when he's in a living room recruiting a kid, and as he said, recruiting the parents as well.
I don't think there's a person he couldn't close in that living room. No question about it. So we wish all the best to Herm, and we'll keep in touch with him. And now, see, we got to go out there. We got to go out there in March.
Yeah, we do.
Taking the show. Let's go.
We got a bus. Let's go bus out there.
Let's do it. We will do that.
Mike Golick here. ADT, the +1 security company, can now help keep you safe at home and when you're on the go. Get started with the ADT Starter Kit professionally installed for only $49. Plus, you'll get ADT Go, the new family mobile safety app and service with 24/7 emergency response for free with any ADT security system. Go to ADT.com/podcast to learn more today.
Requires 36-month monitoring contract, QSP and Easy Pay. Activation and early termination fees may apply. Certain markets excluded. Licenses available at ADT.com. Additional charge for ADT Go premium services after March 31st, 2018.
Hey everyone, Mike Golick here. Support for the Golick Wingo podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you're confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you that same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. With Rocket Mortgage, you can apply simply and understand fully so you can mortgage confidently. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Mikes. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030.
Well, glad you're with us on this Wednesday morning. Golick and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN2, presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests join us via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. And Mike, our next guest is a departure from what we normally do on this show, and that's because he's a lot better at what he does than we are at anything.
Talk about out of our league.
Yeah, we're delving into different waters here. Yeah. We're delighted to be joined by author Jim Patterson, one of the most prolific and successful writers there are, over 100+ books, many of them on the New York Times bestsellers. And his new book out is called All American Murder, The Rise and Fall of Aaron Hernandez, the superstar whose life ended on Murderer's Row, talking about the former Patriots tight end. Jim, thanks for being with us. first and foremost, this is a...
Hey, listen, I'm with you guys pretty much every morning. I watch pretty much every morning. So I was watching you this morning. I think the show's much better when you have Golik's son in there, but, whatever.
I don't disagree with you. Yeah, I don't disagree with you.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
We appreciate the support, though.
Yes,
Thank you for watching every morning. And this book is fascinating on a lot of levels, but for you, it's really a departure because you are basically a fiction writer. This is one of your few nonfiction books.
I haven't done much nonfiction.
That you wrote. So what made you want to write about
Every
this
once
story?
in a while, a story just grabs me. For starters, when I was a kid, teenager, my family moved up to outside of Boston. So, Patriots, Celtics, Red Sox, etc. So that was a little piece of it. And then, just the fall from grace. It's just stunning. You had this guy, very good looking, amazing smile, $40 million contract, potential to be one of the best pros ever, maybe. Beautiful fiance, high school sweetheart, baby girl, and it all goes up in smoke. That's a stunning story. For me, this is the most complicated and dramatic murder story in 25 years, including O.J. I think this is much more dramatic than the O.J. story.
So to do this story, obviously you had to do a hell of a lot of research and interviewing. You interviewed over 60 subjects for this book. I'm wondering because...
Yes, but nobody from the NFL.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. What was any response from the NFL and or the Patriots?
Nothing. I understand it because there's a lot of lawsuits floating around, a lot of lawsuits on this case and then lawsuits about CTE. So I kind of expected. I didn't expect them to be rude. They never got back to me at all. I went right to the top. But, so I understand why they didn't, but, we didn't get any help from them.
How about from the Patriots?
Similar. I think, once again, same problem. And Tebow. I actually talked to Tebow a couple of times, very polite, but he declined, and I said, look, we have all the dirt that we need on this. I want to hear about, Hernandez down at University of Florida. Tebow, roomed with him on the road, and I think roomed next to him, when they were at the university. So, but he declined. Very respectfully, and he was nice about it, but he didn't want to talk about it.
Author Jim Patterson with us. His new book, one of his very few nonfictions, All-American Murder, The Rise and Fall of Aaron Hernandez. And you just said something that I thought was very interesting. You thought this murder case, well, no, that's not true, was more dramatic than the O.J. Simpson murder case. What about this?
Well, if you think about the O.J. thing, look, if that murder had been committed in Buffalo, where he played pro football, I think it would have disappeared. The fact that it happened in L.A. and Hollywood, and that brought on the Dream Team and this incredible, insane trial. But this story, this thing, it starts in Connecticut, which we deal with in the book, right up there with ESPN. And it follows them through Connecticut down into Florida, where there were problems down there. And I have to hand it to Urban Meyer. He did try his best with this kid. He would do Bible study with him several mornings a week. He had him to the house. He put him with Tebow purposely. So, he tried to sort of be a father figure for him. And then the murder started. There was he shot his best friend in the head down in West Palm. Left the guy for dead. The guy lived, which was amazing. Then the two murders in Boston where he was acquitted, but everybody felt there was more evidence in that case than there was in the Odin Lloyd case where he was convicted. So amazing story.
So
and then the suicide.
Right. So as you did the story and did your research on the story and got the information you got, were you still shocked at the outcome? Because how you started, the beautiful fiancé, daughter.
Well, while I was writing the book, the trial took place in which he was declared not guilty. He had a great lawyer there, Jose Baez. Baez is the one who got Casey Anthony off. So the guy is just, he's really good in the courtroom. And I don't know how he did it there, but I guess there just wasn't enough evidence for the jury to believe. But that happened while I was writing the book. And then the suicide. My lawyer agent called up, and he said, "You're not going to believe what just happened." I said, "What?" He said, "Hernandez killed himself this morning."
Well,
which was especially amazing, given that he had just won the court case, and Baez wanted to go in and try to overturn the conviction.
Well, and the weird thing there is James Patterson. You know him as James Patterson. We're calling him Jim because he watches the show every morning.
Or
and clearly,
Jimmy. Yeah, sure.
We're
buddies.
We're familiar.
We're buddies.
We're pals.
That's exactly right.
But that's the sort of the weird thing in this case now, because he died before that his appeal could be done. According to Massachusetts state law, that murder conviction is technically voided now.
Yes, right. If the case is on appeal, then right. So he's not guilty, which raises all sorts of lawsuit issues. It's, the fiance is suing the Patriots for the salary. She wants all the money. A lot of people they're suing the Patriots, they're suing the state, they're suing the helmet makers. So, all sorts of lots of luck with the lawsuits, but you know how that works.
Yeah. Usually.
So Jim, as you know, we all followed this through the courts and the stories and as much information as we got, and then you do your info and get your info to do this book. What were some of the things that maybe we, the public, didn't see that you found out that were surprising to you? Well,
part of it is, when you go into these prisons, you personally go in there, it changes everything. These do not let your babies grow up to be prisoners, man. It's really tough duty. So just literally, talking to the various people, talking to, Owen Lloyd's mother, who was a wonderful lady. That was a victim where Hernandez got convicted. Right. And her thing is, it shouldn't be the Hernandez story. It ought to be the Owen Lloyd story, because he's the victim here. But she was a great lady. We did 48 hours, and I went out and did the interviews, which I hadn't done before. And I'm with his mother, and she's crying, and I'm crying, and I'm going, oh man, I'm not supposed to be crying here. I'm supposed to be like this 60 minutes, keep a distance from who I'm talking to. The police were great in terms of talking to us, and the prison officials were great. So we got a lot of information from them. I have a lot of contacts in Florida, so we got a lot in terms of things that went on in Gainesville. A little bit of looking the other way, when the Gator players were involved. Guys going down there shooting off AK-47s and at the university. A lot of not anything that's that unusual in this day and age, but definitely they would look the other way a bit. The local police.
So as Jim Patterson is with us, sold over 365 million copies. I think he was the first guy to sell 100 million or a million ebooks. Yeah. You're doing a rare turn for you in terms of a nonfiction as opposed to fiction. You've obviously interviewed everybody. You've gone and talked to everybody that knew Aaron Hernandez, who, as you said, we have this picture of him as this unbelievable rising star, Gatorade Player of the Year. It seems like he's turned his life around with that $40 million contract.
He said he did.
Yeah,
he said he came
right after he signed the contract.
This is going to change everything for me.
Yeah, and yet he couldn't run away from who he was.
I think he was so. You start looking at this whole thing, I have to believe that there were some psychopathic tendencies with this guy, because, you've seen, various CTE victims and people with brain damage, and I'm not aware of any other murderers with CTE. Maybe there are, but certainly not much. But this guy wasn't just one. It was, several, at least, murder attempts, or a few. So I think there was definitely a sense of a psychopath. The CTE definitely had, that would seem to be one of the causes. And then a lot of drugs, PCP, coke, a lot of weed, and really a lot of it. So you put them all together, and that spells disaster, and that's exactly what happened.
So,
you look at the last murder. It just shows you how deranged he was at that point. One, this is a friend of his. He shoots the guy less than a mile from his own house, which is like unbelievably stupid. He leaves 4 shells right by the body, which, if you ever watch television, pick up the damn shells, dummy, right. He leaves his cell phone in the guy's pocket, which has calls to him on the cell phone. Leaves car keys in the guy's pocket, which it's a car that he's rented in his name. When the police go, they find the car keys. They think it must be some other Aaron Hernandez. They don't think it's the football player. Well, so clearly the guy was mixed up, and I think in the suicide also you have the sense that he was in a strange state of mind.
Well, the book is All-American Murder by James Patterson, The Rise and Fall of Aaron Hernandez, the superstar whose life ended on Murderer's Row. Look, as you said, it's a fascinating story. It's a great read. It's in bookstores now. And again, a rare departure for Jim, as he normally writes fiction, one of the few nonfiction books he's written. It's a page turner of all page turners. Jim, we appreciate you being with us this morning and sharing a little bit about the story.
I got to tell you, it was a little thrill for me.
Oh,
it's kind of cool. I was looking forward to this all day.
Well, I appreciate that very much.
I got a dentist thing, and then your thing. You know what? I want to do the Golic and Wingo thing.
Well, listen, if the bars were better than the dentist, I think we'll take that.
We'll take that, Jim.
Jim, thanks so much.
Jim. Appreciate it.
Be good.
Golic and Wingo with you on ESPN Radio and ESPN2. I feel like I let you down today. Because I'm about to alert you to something in the last segment of the show that you probably would have been really happy with.
Just another day.
Okay, thanks. Thanks which is why people are tweeting that in. It's National Peanut Butter Day.
Peanut Butter Day.
Did you know that?
No, I did not.
I didn't know that either, and I meant to tell you about an hour ago, and I forgot.
As I said, you always ask that age-old question, if you were on a remote island, could only live off one thing for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Peanut butter and jelly.
Peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Not even
without
close.
question.
Now, would you have the toaster?
No, I never toast them.
Oh, it's so good.
I know. Listen, I get it. It's not that I would turn it down,
good.
but no, I just, and I make triple deckers.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Have you ever done peanut butter and banana?
I have. I do enjoy that because I like bananas, like peanut butter, and I like them together.
Peanut butter, banana, and honey. Also good.
Not the biggest
also
honey
good.
fan in the world.
Now, honey, peanut butter, banana is a solid combination.
Yeah.
But you can't go wrong with the staple of peanut butter and jelly.
PB&J.
Yeah. So I feel bad. Have you ever tried to fry peanut butter or toast it?
I have not.
Really
I'm sure
good.
there's state fairs everywhere that
it
does
crispy on the outside and it's hot, and then you open it up
gooey
and it's just great on the
sounds
inside.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
There's really nothing you can do with peanut butter that would ruin it.
Love it. Yeah.
There's really so happy National Peanut Butter.
Thank you very much. I'll enjoy some later.
I'm gonna have a PB&J coming up in just a little bit. So we had Joe Thomas on,
yes,
the left tackle for the Browns. At this point, we still believe he is the best left tackle for the Browns. But we put him to the test because they have the first and fourth pick in the draft. They've had, outside of Joe Thomas being selected, the last few times they've had 2 first-round draft picks.
Hadn't gone well.
Hadn't really gone that well. So we asked Joe, we put him on the spot, said, your new GM, John Dorsey, what would you do with those first 2 picks? Here's what he said. And here is what he said right here.
We have $118 million in cap space, so we got plenty of money to do whatever we want. But I would actually sign Kirk Cousins, and then I would use the first and fourth pick on the best players available, probably Saquon Barkley and one of the defensive players. So all of a sudden, you're a heck of a lot better immediately overnight.
That would be interesting. You get Saquon Barkley, a guy like Minka Fitzpatrick, possibly, from the secondary. And he had said, he went further to say why he wouldn't do Alex Smith. Get Alex, because you'd have to trade for Alex Smith. Right. So you'd have to give up something for that, where Kirk Cousins, it's just going to flat out cost you at least $100 million.
Yeah, well, then we asked him, it's one thing to try and get Kirk Cousins, but he has to want to go.
Yes, he does.
And he actually had a really good response to that, too. He said, first of all, we'll pay you like $35 million with the signing bonus for the first year. And then he went on to espouse the virtues of Cleveland. Now, you're from there. I've been to Cleveland many times.
Listen, Cleveland,
it's a great city.
And it's back up and coming again. The flats and downtown area is really growing again. So I'm very happy about that. But from a football standpoint, I mean, John tweets in, if you're Kirk Cousins, you become a free agent, why would you go to Cleveland? No matter how much money they give you. And see, here's the difference. They can offer you more. It's not like basketball where you get a max and you can get the same amount anywhere you go. But, you're only going to go to a certain amount. He's going to get high offers from other teams. So that is a fair question. Would you go to a team that's a perennial loser where you can get as close to the amount of money, and go to a team that maybe has a better shot? Now, that's not to say that Cleveland can't build to a winner, but been saying that for a while now in Cleveland. So you could understand a free agent saying, well, wait a minute. If I can't get exactly the same amount of money, but I can get close to the same amount of money and go to a team that's further along, why wouldn't I do that? It's a tough sell in Cleveland. I do get it. Well, I love the town. I do. But, the guy's going there to play for a team. And if you can get a lot of money anywhere, now you're looking at, okay, what does this team have to offer me? Not only from an individual standpoint, where you're talking that much money, you're talking about a guy that's counted on to play a bunch.
Right.
Then, okay, where are we as a team, and where can this team go, and who's further along?
Look, the idea of the Browns really turning it around, I think this might be the year where it starts for them because of the cap space they have, because of the draft picks they have, because of what may shake out in free agency. Again,
they are set up nicely.
They've just got to pick the right players.
Yeah.
And John Dorsey, their new GM, has already said we picked the wrong players.
They did.
A lot of times before. They have the draft picks. They have the cash. If they've got the right guy and they make the right picks, it might turn around pretty quickly.
You know what they need to do is channel their inner Jacksonville.
That's exactly
because
right.
Jacksonville hit free agency and
No
drafting.
question.
They hit the nail on the head.
And Howie Roseman did a great job with
Right.
the Eagles as well, with some of the players. And
Yep.
that, by the way, that roster is, most of that is locked down. They've done a really nice job. All right, coming up tomorrow, Tim Kirkchen will be here, talk about the Hall of Fame,
Yes.
who gets in and who doesn't. We'll check in with Todd McShay at the Senior Bowl, see what he likes and what he doesn't like. Stu Gatz is here, plus Tiger Woods.
Yes.
Back in a PGA actual event for the first time in a year. We'll have all that on Thursday's Golic and Wingo. We're out of here. See ya.
See you.